riding on a breakdown. Another white knuckle shakedown. Feels like I'm living on a chain gang. I'm riding on a breakdown, a suicidal shakedown. Feels like I'm living on a chain gang. This is the Community Solutions Podcast, thriving and contriving here amidst the big old coronavirus pandemic. Andrew Richter, as always, with me here. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Have we ever done a show apart before?
I don't know that we are now. I know it sounds like Andrew's on the phone. He may not be with me. He might be. Are we obeying the governor? Are we not obeying the governor?
Well,
who knows?
We'll get into the governor in a second, but I'll tell you, I don't know. You are in our underground layer, our underground bunker, and I'm in the underground bunker. The one thing we promise the audience of the show every week, I mean, the learning never stops. There are no graduates. There are no reruns. There is no off season. I mean, that's kind of just our promise, and we fulfill that even in these troubled times, Dave. We still fulfill that.
That is true. Like the postal service of yore, neither rain nor snow nor shall keep the Community Solutions Podcast from coming to you. So
yeah, things have changed since the Pony Express. But Jay, the song, I know the Chain Gang song. Is that the Chain Gang song? I think I've heard that before. You're out on the Chain Gang?
Are you thinking of the song from what is it, the Motels?
I don't know. Whatever song is right, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
You're out on the Chain Gang. I think that, let me think. Is that Harvey Weinstein's childhood? Oh, no, wait. I don't know. Let's see. I once again, I'm not going to improve my batting average this week. I'm really not.
No.
Did you do that on purpose? You always do a hard one.
No, I pick a song that has to deal with what we're talking about for the day. And for those of you that have joined us just recently, why we do this, it's fun. But as a musician, I pick some lyrics, and then we put the song of the week after Andrew doesn't guess it up on our Spotify Community Solutions Podcast music from the podcast playlist. So you can go check those songs out after I put them out there for you. So
yeah, and one of these days I'm going to learn how to sign in on that.
You should. It's fun.
We got great stuff. I mean, we got great songs, plus you on the ukulele. I mean, we got really good stuff on there.
All right. Me on the ukulele. I own one. I own one. I don't really know how to play it.
All right, Jay, enlighten us. Who is it?
That is Skid Row, Living on a Chain Gang.
Living on a Chain Gang. Is that Sam Cooke? All right.
No.
Well,
no, that's a different Chain Gang song.
That's a different Chain Gang song?
Yes.
Well, again, I tell you got to hum it a little bit better. Because, me, I do things based on rhythm.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any humming that song. Maybe. Maybe. It's one of those... when did that come out? It's off of Skid Row's Slave to the Grind album back in, 1990, 91?
Oh,
maybe? 80, yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Well, next time I pull out my Walkman, I'll have to check that out. Jay, question for you. Since we are still in lockdown mode here, and we're going to lighten it up a little bit. I know you've been at home binge watching Full House, and I'm going to take joy there is right now. As far as watching.
If I was going to guess, let's see, are you watching Tiger King? Is that,
You know what? My wife and I just started that.
Really? You'll have to let me know how that goes.
Well, it's one of those shows, and I don't want to spoil it for people who have not seen, what's it called, Tiger Lily?
Yeah, that's it.
Tiger King. It's just really weird. I love the animals and things like that, but it's just the people in it just. I don't know. If you watch a show and you oftentimes you kind of fall in love with characters or really sympathize with one person. It's a hard show, I think, to do that on. So, but
everybody's equally dislikable, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think you'll sympathize with one person, one show, and you'll hate them in the next show. It's kind of like that. So maybe that intrigues more people to watch it. I don't know. I'm sure Trump getting asked about it yesterday will be jack up the Netflix downloads. But anyway, I was going to say, well, you're at home watching, Full House and Miami Vice. Let me tell you something. The best part of my day, honestly, are Trump's press conferences. I mean, I literally don't miss them.
I've heard they're good.
I mean, and I'll tell you what, some people think that they're helping him, something they aren't. I think his narrative is so there. And I have these down days where I'm upset about, this lockdown, and I don't like it, and I don't understand. All these numbers seem to be wrong. And he's like the one person who I feel like, dares to be optimistic, and it's like everybody's mad at him for it. But I mean, it's like you can't be optimistic right now without getting stopped by somebody, and you can't dare question these experts or these models. I'll get into that in a sec.
Right.
Many cases have turned out to be just whack, and so but I'll tell you what, the media isn't doing themselves any favors. I mean, they just aren't. They look terrible. And I think the president is that, I think what's hurting him is not being in front of people. I mean, he needs to go back to his rallies. He needs to go back to he's in his element at that. And I think he handles the media as well as he can, but it's the most entertaining thing I see all day long. I mean, which maybe gives you an idea of how underground I am here in the wolf's lair.
Well, no, it's good, Yeah, I think if anybody wants to get things going again, it's the president. As a businessman, he understands that. So I think that we have the right person in office at the right time. And if you could just imagine what a travesty we would have on our hands. I'm not even talking about with the disease as much as with the economy if we had Hillary Clinton in office right now.
Well, and I'll take it a step further. I think, the president has a lot of responsibility, and he has to satisfy a lot of people. And when you think about it, he does have a duty to save lives. At the same time, you can tell that Trump senses people's angst, that they're not being given straight answers, and they're not going to tolerate being locked up very long. And he knows, he knows better than anybody that these businesses, the longer this goes, the more are not going to reopen. Yeah. And I think seems like he's the only one thinking about how are we gonna get this going again. And it's just, I find him refreshing to listen to, unlike somebody I know you and I didn't vote for, who I have the displeasure of listening to this afternoon. You can't measure the contrast between Governor Walz and President Trump. Forget that they don't agree on a lot. I can handle that in politics.
Right.
To listen to a doomsday governor, a Debbie Downer, a person who can't answer a question directly, a person who has no plan for what to do when these times come, a person who keeps changing, who waits till the last second to act until he absolutely has to. Mm-hmm. And then watching the media kind of handle him with kid gloves was pathetic to listen to. I mean, I could have parachuted into that press conference I don't know what I would have done had I done that. I mean, it was terrible. It was a disgrace. And I tell you what, I've been optimistic this entire time that we would beat this thing sooner rather than later. Doctors always play out. They're always doomsdayers. They always urge caution. I think if we're up to Dr. Fauci, I think nobody ever leaves their house again. And I listen to the governor, and I am brought right back down to earth. I mean, Jay, here's the thing. When you're a governor here and of a shutdown, and I understand there's a lot on his shoulders, and he's taken all this upon himself. I mean, no laws have granted him some of the authority to do what he's doing. That's another subject. But
right.
When I listen, do you think he has any plan to reopen this state? I.e., what opens first? What opens when? What's the target date? What are the criteria in which, you're going to lift A, B, and C? And he has no plan. I mean, nothing to say when he's asked us. I mean, that is scary to think of. And, I mean, I don't understand how you're going to you're not going to keep people in the house all summer. It's not happening. There'll be a riot going on. You're going to kill the tourism industry in the state. You're going to kill mining. You're going to kill fishing, even though people can fish. Well, the resorts aren't open and all the stores aren't open. I mean, it doesn't jive with what we're being told. So
right.
We're being told not to travel, yet we're being told we can go fish. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, they're talking about the state parks and whether that they're going to be fully open or whatever. I mean, I don't. The governor seems to have just no clue how he's going to proceed, and that. Tell you what, that is just. I mean, I'm frightened by that. I mean, do you think that? I mean, first off, do you agree with that? And second, I mean, how long do you think he's going to drag this out?
Well, I do agree.
He doesn't know.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I don't agree with the governor. I mean, here's the problem. What he's trying to do is just like putting a Band-Aid on a really bad situation. He wants to allow people the opportunity, even though we might close state parks and things like that, to golf, to fish, because social distancing can be employed. But who's going to be able to do those things? Who's going to have $30 for green fees when, with what, you have all these people that are unemployed in the state,
Yeah,
and that's what boggles my mind. I mean, they'll be able to afford gas the way it's going, so I guess they could fish, but when you have so many people unemployed and so many people worried about, I mean, it's almost to me like a let them eat cake moment. I can't afford to buy clothes. I can't afford to pay my mortgage. I can't afford to do this or that. And granted, there are some programs that are out there for people and whatever, but there's still, the reality is those things are out there. And it's like, oh, you can do these things that are fun. Here, go have fun. Go have fun during this time. Just, keep it
Jay,
keep it separate. Keep them separated. Maybe that's the song I should have used this week. That as long as you're keeping separate and I don't understand, you're supposed to not go anywhere, but you can go golfing and you can go fishing apparently.
I guess
but you can't work. It's ridiculous.
Let me back up a second,
yes.
So even take it a step further. I mean, what is going to happen? When can a hair salon reopen? When can a bar reopen? What are going to be the criteria when they do open?
Yeah.
What is a target date?
Well, I know that he said, what, May 10th? I didn't hear what he said now, but I know last time he was going, what, May 4th for school? No, May 1st for schools? Was that right? May 4th for bars and restaurants? Anyways, I don't think it'll be that. I'm just telling you right now. Everything
has been pushed to May 4th. I don't think schools are going to reopen. I don't think so.
I don't think schools are going to reopen until next year, and that even that's debatable depending on when the season for this picks up again next fall. Because I don't believe that they're going to have an FDA-approved vaccine by next fall. They're just not. They may have a vaccine, but it's not going to be FDA-approved and ready to go for the market. So we are going to have to deal with this again next year when it gets colder.
Well, but again, I mean, let me give you let me back up just a second. If you look at these, and this is where, again, you could have a media that's semi-curious might help. Wall's got one tough question today from Channel 5 from Tom Hauser. He was the only one who really challenged a word that the governor said. You have this model from the University of Washington, which has been this ICEM or whatever it is. I can't think of the acronym, but that everybody keeps citing. And 2 weeks ago, on March 30th, at the press conference at the White House, Dr. Fauci and Dr. what's her name with the scarf, I don't know what her name is, doesn't matter. They said that in the best case scenario, Burks, that's her name, best case scenario, 100,000 to 240,000 Americans would die, period. Best case scenario.
Yep.
Now, that model, by the way, is the same model that projects global warming. That model factored in shelter-at-home orders, factored in social distance, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And 10 days later, April 9th, we're recording this. I know that's not when you people are listening, but April 9th, the day we're recording this, they have already revised that down to 60,000.
Yep.
So in 10 days, these geniuses, these doctors that we walk on water, and these people put their pants on one leg at a time. And Dr. Fauci pees the same way I do. They have reduced their figure from 240,000 to 60,000. Now, that calls into question every word that they've said as far as I'm concerned. And I'll tell you what, if I, in this same model, and follow me at home, and stick with me here, okay, folks? The same model predicts about 500 deaths here in the state of Minnesota. So far, we've had 50. 500 deaths. Walz's people today predicted 20,000. Now, stop and think. If you wanted me to paint your house, Jay, and I told you the estimate was somewhere between $100 and $10,000, would you hire me?
No.
So how do we take a drop of what this guy said seriously? How could you be so far from something else? I mean, how is that even feasible? How does he stand up there with a straight face? But I'll tell you, Walz is either finding the most doomsday thing he can, or he's seeking it. It's one of the two.
Yes.
And using that to justify everything he does. And I don't see that changing. The only way it's going to change, is with either the Republicans grow a backbone, which most of them have a pretzel. So you're probably not going to see that, at least now. You may see that if he tries extending it one more time. And the other way is people just won't accept it. And I'm going to tell you something. Like I said before, if this thing drags much more than what we're already forecasting, you're going to have riots in the streets. And you're going to have people who just simply are going to say, you know what? We know the risks. We've sat at home for 2 months, and we're not doing it anymore. And I think this governor is totally tone deaf to it. When I listen to him talk, of course, he's still getting a paycheck, of course, and he doesn't seem to get that people filed for unemployment 4 weeks ago and are still waiting for a check. He doesn't seem to get that people are, he's not reassuring. He's not telling people, look, we're going to get past this. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Stick with me till May 4th. And, why don't we just announce a date and just say, you know what? We're going to open on this date, or we're going to open in phases. At least somebody could breathe and say, all right, my business in whatever form he's going to open on May 15th. You know,
Right.
And he just won't do it. And I just get the feeling he's not going to. And the legislature or the people are going to have to say, we're not taking it anymore. And you either there's going to be chaos or you're going to have to compromise on this. And I'll tell you what, I do blame the legislature a lot for this. They sat back, they let this governor shut this state down, rewrite unemployment laws, do whatever the hell he wants. Right. And they really haven't challenged. Oh, yeah, they go on Twitter and say something like, well, hey, listen, dummy, you could introduce legislation today that would stop this, and you don't do it. So I don't know how serious they are, but they're going to start hearing an earful.
Yeah, the longer this goes on, they will.
And when these projections are so off, I mean, he loses credibility every day. And I am surprised, though, that he stands upright when he's talking. I'm surprised he doesn't fall over from patting himself on the back so much. I mean, that's I am surprised he can stay upright.
Yeah.
One thing he'll do is take credit. He'll take credit for the sun going up. But, I really don't see an end in sight here. And we're certainly not hearing about it. And I think the legislature and the people need to step in and give them hell. And I just think that he won't. And I also think he's waiting for other states to act. I think that's dangerous. Yeah. We aren't New York. We aren't California. We aren't Texas.
We're not even close to any of those. I mean, admittedly, he will say that we have one of the lowest rates in the country of infection. And so...
Right, but again, he thinks it's because of him.
Right.
You know, we have to make people understand. And look, there's a lot of reasons, I think, why these models have been wrong. I think there could be a lot. We actually don't know that. I should be careful in what I say. There may be more asymptomatic people than we thought. I think this virus was here a lot earlier than we originally thought. I think maybe some of the drugs people are taking, this what do you call it, hydrogen chlorine that people are taking.
Hydrochloroquine?
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't take hydrogen chlorine. Okay?
Well, there was somebody that took the fish tank cleaner. Don't do that. But but apparently this thing is helping, the hydrochloroquine.
Yeah, and it may not help everybody. That's true. But, how many people get a flu shot and still get sick? It does happen. I mean, I don't know that there's some foolproof thing. And if there is a vaccine, they're not going to have it anytime soon because of all the red tape that they have to go through. Government could eliminate some of that. I mean,
They're rushing to do that, though, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what worries me is this cell phone tracking you keep hearing. I mean, this idea that Wald said this at his 2 weeks ago when he introduced this shelter-in-place order, that he said by cell phone tracking he could see most Minnesotans are doing a good job. And it's like, where are you getting that info?
Yeah, I don't remember signing up for that program.
Yeah, and of course, our media sat there, didn't ask the question, didn't bother, just stood there. And I think Esme Murphy, we had to wipe the sweat off of her face while the governor was talking. But, it's just embarrassing how, nothing they say gets challenged. Nothing he says gets challenged at all.
Yeah, so, I would like to know how my cell phone data is being tracked and stored.
Well, we all know in a backdoor way how it's happening, that the phone companies with Google and things like that. I mean, like, Google something, and then all of a sudden you'll get on something like Facebook, and an ad for what you Googled will come up. They're all in cahoots with each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's not conspiratorial.
No.
Don't try it.
No, I mean, Google's motto used to be "Don't be evil," and they got rid of it. It's... But you see, because of all the stuff that they've done with China and all of that they're not concerned about that anymore, because they think that they are big enough and have enough power that they're going to be able to write the regulation when the regulations come, and they're going to be just fine because they're the biggest in the game. And
Well, not only that, though, Jay, it's like big banks. They'll help write the legislation.
right.
They'll write the legislation that keeps their monopolies, keeps, we talked about it a million times. Business and government get in bed together. You have the worst result you could possibly have.
Yes.
You can't get any worse than that. So, but anyway, I have turned pessimist. I hate being a pessimist. I can't stand it. I want to slap people who are. And believe me, it's all over social media if you even hint at thinking this is overblown or pointing out these numbers are completely wrong, you have some moron who is there to just tell you what a moron you are, or you don't care about lives. And, we have 17 million people now in this country unemployed.
Right.
17 million. I mean, what do you say
That's
to
just
that?
people that are drawing unemployment, right? I mean, that's not even counting all of the self-employed and independent contractor types yet. I mean, they're starting to roll stuff like that out for those types of folks, but I don't think we'll have any real idea of what the numbers really are for a while.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to see, employment's always a lagging indicator.
Right.
When all these people get back to work is, head scratching. Everybody just assumes we're just going to open, and I don't know. I've become a pessimist. I'll tell you what else makes me a pessimist.
Yes. How about
is watching our government release criminals from jail and making criminals of people who are walking around when our governor tells us to go walk around.
Yeah.
And nowhere can you see that more than the city of Edina. This is a story from Channel 5, KSTP.com. Edina bans group activities to comply with Governor Walz's stay-at-home executive order. And listen to what their city manager says. Nobody on their council. Remember, I don't elect a city manager.
Right.
Okay, here's what they said. This, by the way, was a story 3 days after the order was issued, so they got on it right away. We had hoped we would see 100% compliance by residents and visitors with the governor's stay-at-home order. However, this weekend, we have continued to receive complaints and reports of large gatherings, close contact ball games, and lack of social distancing. There's no proof that happened. Calls, right. I mean, who did that come from? It's probably police officers driving by. Quote, this is not optional. Failure of Minnesotans to comply with this order will result in the metro area reaching peak caseloads sooner and medical facilities unable to handle it, which we've already proven false. They are police-issued tickets for the misdemeanor with fines up to $1,000. I don't know how they portion that out. Or 90 days in jail. 90 days.
Yep. You're out playing a little basketball. Next thing you know, cuff them and stuff them.
And he also, this idiot city manager also urged residents not to call 911 with questions because that could jam actual emergency calls.
Right.
So, not with questions, but he urged them to call the governor's hotline. The governor set up a hotline to turn people in.
Yes.
Who are out walking around or playing catch or something, or there's 3 or 4 people near each other. Oh my God, we're all going to die. And I don't mean to overreact too much to that, but this is how the Soviets filled the gulags.
Well, I mean, and the East German Stasi, that's how they built their whole structure, was a spying culture. I saw something the other day, and there was a poll, and it was like, I'm trying to remember the exact number. It was like 67%, I think, of voters thought that it was okay to turn people in for things that where they were breaking the guidelines or, breaking shelter-in-place orders or things like that.
I wonder how the question was worded.
Right, and I wonder who those voters were, too. How evenly they were spread across the spectrum. But I don't remember in America where we built our culture on, our society on people telling on each other. I mean, I remember going to school and people always kind of shamed the tattletales. It was like, don't be a tattletale. That's a lesson I remember, being taught when I was young. Don't be a tattletale. And we had a name for you think back to the Revolutionary War when we were founded, and you had quotes or you had phrases like turncoat or Benedict Arnold that were thrown around because people do not take kindly to those that tattletaled or spilled the beans.
Yeah, Benedict Arnold has become a verb.
Yeah.
it's like a judge being borked. I mean, it's become a verb. And I'll tell you, I like the term snitch. I like calling them snitches. What? That's my word to call them.
Well, did you hear the mayor of L.A., of Los Angeles, also called them snitches?
Yeah.
But he said...
But he praised the snitches.
He did. He, instead of saying... he said, there's a phrase that about snitches, but, instead, I like to say this, that snitches get rewards. What? Since when do we praise that in America? It's ridiculous.
Well, and this is the same mayor who threatened to cut off electricity to businesses, threatened to cut off their water. Just another case that we always make for getting the local government out of utilities. They don't belong there. That's how that's monopolized. Here is another strange thing. This is from, I've never heard of these people before, valleynewslive.com.
Okay.
This is up in Detroit Lakes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
How they are not recommending that anybody go up to their cabin. You talk about social isolation. I mean, wouldn't it be good to get away from Cub Foods and your local gas station and the hustle and bustle of the city and go up and not convalesce, but go up and spend some time in the fresh air and up at your cabin.
Right.
But they are recommending not to do that. In fact, I would argue they are threatening people to not come up there. Otter Tail County is really the guilty party here. County officials say not so fast to coming up to the lake. We understand it's well intended, but it'd be nice to come and quarantine here. We just don't have the capacity. We know there's a spread of, I don't like it when people call it COVID-19, but I guess I'll be technical here. And we know some people are asymptomatic, well intended, but that might not be for the greater good, said Jody Lyon of the Otter Tail County Public Health Director. Again, another unelected bureaucrat.
Yeah, well,
who I'm sure is getting a paycheck.
I get a sense she might be lying. Sorry. So let me get this straight. You have a house full of people. You take those house full of people, you're jammed in a house together, and you put them in a car, and you go to another house, and that's bad.
Well, and here's another thing.
Yes.
They're claiming at the county that they get 50,000 seasonal residents or visitors every summer. Well, if you tell everybody to stay home, you're killing everything up there. You are killing, I mean, they probably, half that economy up there is probably based on fishermen, cabin owners,
We Fest is up there.
Camping.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, you just have another person who's completely tone deaf. Becker County is taking the opposite approach. They're encouraging people to come there.
Wow.
Well, they're saying, as long as you practice, social distancing and stuff until it's lifted, we welcome lake goers. So they are, two counties right next to each other are giving out opposite information. But I don't understand how going up to the lake for a weekend, getting that fresh air and
right.
is, and of course, again, we're told two different things. We're told, go out, go walk the dog, but don't go up to the lake.
Yeah. I don't get it. It's almost like this thing is transmitted like super fast by water. Out in San Diego, was it San Diego? It was somewhere in California where a guy got. Did he just get a ticket or did he get arrested for being out on his paddleboard alone?
I did hear that. Well, and here's another thing. I mean, people talk about like public pools and things like that.
Right.
Those should be open. Chlorine kills everything. Christ.
Well,
I mean,
that is opinion. I don't know if this thing. You throw 30 people in a pool together, that might not be a great idea.
Well, you always got the one kid peeing in the corner. But here's the other thing. I mean, it's way too early to make calls like that. It's way too early to say, okay, we're going to shut down everything for an entire season. It's painful.
Not if you're Minneapolis. They already shut everything down. No beaches, no wading pools, no. The only thing they didn't shut down is the biking and the walking, and they're shutting down streets to. I'm trying to remember which street it was, but like they closed the parkway so that they could open it up for more room for bikers and walkers.
Oh, so nobody can drive.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds like Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Put it to you this way. If it's the dumbest possible decision, Minneapolis will be the first to do it. Channel 11, Channel11.com has another story. 10 people statewide cited for violating stay-at-home order.
Yes.
Faribault County is where 4 men were playing cards. Oh, my God. And apparently they were all cited for that. Some of them were linked to larger crimes, which, again, just adding on another ridiculous charge. Minneapolis has not written any citations yet, they stress. Yet.
Yeah.
We all know they're going to. So there's 10 more people already cited for this. And I'm going to tell you something, this is going to do nothing but go up. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
The idea you're going to keep kids locked in a house for months at a time, I mean, there's no way that's going to happen. I just...
Yeah.
The lack of any plan to reopen just scares me that, that there isn't one.
Yeah, it scares me too.
It is insane. You want to go to... Oh, yes. Here's a story from San Diego, Jay. I got one here. This is from the Washington Times. Citizens faced a $1,000 fine for, quote, watching the sunset. That's what they were charged with in California.
Well...
People were watching the sunset. It doesn't say that they were not far apart from each other. Where I really get worried is that this virus is being used for political means to expand things. We talked about mail-in voting, but in Spain, the liberals over in Spain are trying to establish, they've already introduced this apparently, this is at businessinsider.com, that they are establishing permanent basic income in the wake of this pandemic. So they're taking the pandemic. They know people aren't paying attention. They know they're not interested in details.
Right.
And universal basic income may be one of the problems that we face.
Yeah. Well, I know that that's been a concern. Families are going to be getting this chunk of money from the government. Well, the longer this carries on, the more they're going to have to extend that because, $1,200 or whatever is only going to go so far. So what happens when they extend that or bring it back in the fall or whatever? And how government is, they don't like to sunset things.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's coming back in the fall, but because I think we're going to be stable with medicines to help people, but you're going to have so many people asymptomatic for a year or so. I think it's nuts to say that we're going to flare up again, and that's a fact. I think that's crazy. I heard that with H1N1. I heard that with SARS. They were all wrong on that.
Yeah, and it might not.
I don't think we'll have a vaccine. I do think we're going to have a bad flu season next year, and whether that's coronavirus or the flu as we know it, I think we have to assume that. But to assume we're going to shut bars and restaurants down again, I just tell you that people aren't going to stand for it. They're just not. But you're right. This permanent, relying on government. I mean, think about it. The pandemic in 1918 wiped out 50 million people. Nobody stopped anything for a day.
Right.
Baseball season never stopped. World War I didn't stop. And I'm not saying I want 50 million people dead. I'm just saying, what we're doing is so extreme of a reaction that what happens the next time something? Are we going to have a lockdown every few years?
We could.
You've got governors who think that they have the authority to shut down anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the lesson that they're being taught right now.
Well, and again,
in an emergency, you can do whatever you like. You can suspend the rules. Right. You can break the law. Nothing that is written can't be unwritten in an emergency.
Well, and here's the problem. Who declares an emergency?
Well, at this point, it's the head executive, whether that's a mayor or whether that is a governor.
Most mayors, I don't know, have that authority, but
oh yes, they do. Yeah, because we've been dealing with this.
Well, they think they do.
Well, they think they do, but apparently they are allowed to declare an emergency. It's what they do with that emergency that is troubling. A lot of mayors. There was an issue, and I'll leave the city out of it for now. But I can say it because it was in a city council meeting where up in Big Lake, I was just watching, where the city manager said, we need to declare a state of emergency. The mayor has the right to do that, and that allows us to get federal aid from the government, also allows us to forego the open meeting laws. That's dangerous.
Yeah, really. That's beyond...
Yeah, I'm sorry, but no, you don't get to suspend open meeting laws and have secretive meetings. I know they were dealing with that in Washington as well, Washington, D.C., where there were groups that wanted to just meet secretly, just have their meetings and not have to obey those laws per U.S. code, and how the whole stimulus thing was threatened to be passed in the House, where the speaker just looks around and there might not be anybody else in the room, and just looks like we have a quorum. Let's take a vote. The whole unanimous consent thing. Yeah, I mean that's why Thomas Massey was having such a hard time with that, and I know he got raked over the coals even by the president a little bit, but I'm sorry, that's a principle. You need to have a quorum there to vote. Otherwise, anybody can pass anything anytime they want. That's not all right.
Well, and I'll tell you what, the legislatures need to follow their own guidelines here, because they don't have to do the negotiating in public. We've seen this time after time where the legislature sits there for 4 months. They do absolutely nothing. Then the governor and a couple of leaders meet behind closed doors, and all of a sudden they emerge with a deal and vote on it that day.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this happened with the coronavirus bill that we'll talk about next week, but I mean, that just came out of Minnesota. Nobody had any idea. All of a sudden, the legislature goes back in session. A couple hours later, a bill is passed. I mean, what is that? You know, there was no hearings. And I'm not saying that people should have gathered and done that, but how in the world is that? You talk about a disservice to everybody. You talk about a quorum. I mean, voting by telephone. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, and this is where I think city councils and legislators need to, when this is over, if it's ever over, really need to look at the ability of a governor to declare an emergency. Like I said before, rewrite unemployment laws, close any business for any length of time they want, even if there's a good reason. There still needs. I mean, most states of emergencies are. You know, we got a flood up on the Red River. I mean, there's a state of emergency. It's not this idea where one health commissioner and one governor can stand there and do anything that they want to.
Right. And I'm sorry, but there are some things, some businesses, quote unquote businesses, that should never be closed. And how they choose what is essential or not, I mean, I kind of have an issue with that too. And it is hurting local businesses, and it's hurting the small business person more than it's hurting the large corporations, because it's these mom and pop shops that are going to be the ones scrambling to try and figure out how they're going to keep paying their lease, how they're going to, if their inventory goes bad, in the case of a restaurant, what are they going to do? There's all of this. And then you look at like churches and stuff like that. And, you know, we're guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution, churches, religion is the free exercise of religion is guaranteed, and even in the Minnesota Constitution gives the right of every man to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience shall never be infringed, nor shall any man be compelled. Goes on and on from there. So that's a problem when what you get to do is record. I mean, record services and put them online. That, I'm sorry, but I know in the case of Christianity that religion is not. We're asked to be the hands and feet of Jesus more than we're asked to be the mouth of Jesus. And there's too many people being the mouth and not enough people being able to be the hands and feet right now. And you look at guys like Bill DeBlasio in New York who are saying, I'm sorry, but if you continue to have service in any way, shape, or form, we're going to fine you. And if you continue after that, we're going to permanently close your doors. That's not okay.
Well, and remember, this is the same mayor who on March 11th, as late as March 11th, was encouraging New Yorkers to go out and tell them they had nothing to worry about.
Right. I mean,
now think about that for 1 second. March 11th. That wasn't even a month ago.
Right.
And so why isn't anybody... Why isn't the media going after him like they go after Trump? Why don't they say, hey, how wrong you were, buddy? How many people listen to you and are now laying in a hospital bed?
Or worse yet, in a morgue?
In a refrigerator somewhere. I mean, it's frustrating, and it's like I said before. I mean, we're on a collision course here in Minnesota. I just have no faith in the people running our executive branch, and I don't have any faith in the legislative branch either.
Yeah, unfortunately not. And we're seeing it trickle down where we've got cities, we've got counties that are just passing edicts. They're not necessarily, I think, lawful edicts that they're passing, and I don't know how we're going to deal with that. I mean, when you have cities where they're breaking the law, they're going around, like I said before, open meeting laws. They're arresting or finding people that are out doing things in public. We've got neighbors snitching on neighbors. It's out of control, and I don't recognize the country that I grew up in. This is not the America that I know. So I
don't know what to make of it. I really don't. So I don't know. I'm sure next week we'll have more stories of people, criminals being let out of jail, and good, honest, decent people getting cited for walking down the street.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully it doesn't come to having to show papers or anything like that. That's no good. We don't ever want to get to that point where, and I know because I am involved in essential business that I do have a letter I carry with me, but I hope I never have to use it. I'm going to be super conflicted, if I ever do. Do I show it, or do I say, this is sad that this is what this country has come to, that I need papers to travel.
Yes, that's how the Soviet Union did it, state to state. And to be honest with you, I have them too. I've got papers that say it's okay for me to be past curfew.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's ridiculous.
Well, and I'll tell you what. I mean, if you want, and I'm going to give a little preview of next week's show, Jay, with your permission. We don't do that often, but and you haven't heard much about this in the media. Breaking down the state response bill and the federal response bill will be broken down by you and me next week.
Yes.
As only we do it, by the way.
That means you're going to hear about a bunch of garbage that got thrown into this stuff.
Yeah, it's another show where we need a warning at the beginning that you're going to be angry at the end of it. I think some people get angry with us, Jay. Do you really think? I think they do.
Yeah.
They're just for shoot the messenger here, shoot the messenger. But there'll be a lot of that. People will not be happy, and that's just a warning for next week's show. I'm not happy researching it. So, if I'm not happy doing that, then we're going to have a rough time next week, I think.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it now, let me tell you. But, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and the whole purpose of this show, I guess, was that government is running amok. I know when the virus started to hit here in the United States, the first show that we did was titled "Here Comes the Overreach," and I mean, it has not disappointed, has it? I mean, we have seen overreach at unprecedented levels, and whether that's some of the stuff that we've been talking about today, with just the heavy-handedness of making people feel like criminals, or it's all of this spending that's not being accounted for,
and let me add one more thing: the inconsistent messages we keep getting.
Right.
Take the whole mask fiasco. I mean, remember 2 weeks ago we were being told, no,
yeah,
can't wear a mask. You don't know how to put it on right because you're too stupid.
Right.
Now, everybody better get a mask.
Yes.
And it's sort of like, well, and now there's a run on them. Everybody's trying to get one, and of course the first responders and stuff, they need them first.
Yeah.
And there's this shortage all of a sudden, and it's media created. It's created by our leaders. They're mixed messages. They're And look, if you don't know an answer to something, say you don't know.
Yeah, it's okay.
I don't know about that.
This is the first time any of us have encountered this disease. I mean, really. And so we don't know how it's going to act. We don't know how it's going to react to different things. And so I think that it's okay to say, you know what? It's still too new. We're doing tests. We're trying to figure it out. But there has been so much bad information that has been given throughout the course of this thing. And it has given the government the go-ahead, the green light to implement some really bad policy.
It's the government is the ultimate winner. If we beat this thing, they'll say it's because of them. If we don't beat this thing, they'll blame us, saying we're not doing what we told you.
Right.
Ultimately, they will win no matter what. No matter what, they will take the credit. I mean, and from the president on down, and I like the president, but he doesn't hesitate to take credit for anything. And I'm telling you that ultimately the winner is going to be big government. They will win in the end, no matter what the solution is. We went through this with 9/11. We went where we got two endless wars. We got the Patriot Act. We got the Homeland Security Department, which is just a cluster blank. We got frisking at the airport, taking knitting needles away from old ladies. You look at the financial crash in 2008. We got ridiculous bailouts where we still don't know where our money went. These crises, there's one, and I'm not saying this is the Germans burning the rights tag. I'm saying that in the end of a crisis, what always seems to happen is bigger government. Bigger government always emerges at the end.
Yes.
Was that a little wacky?
No, I think that's right on. And it does. Government is force. I mean, and some people are okay with using that force, and some people are not okay with using that force. And it's
okay. But what
terrible.
Happened? What happened to the Civil War when Lincoln suspended habeas corpus, and then afterward it was never done again? We instituted an income tax, and guess what? At the end of the war, it went away.
Yep. Lincoln did that right. Some people disagree with his taking the power at all, but he did give it back. I have to give him credit for that, because now you would not see that.
Yes, Jefferson Davis as well.
Yeah.
If you look at, he was given that authority by the Confederate Congress, and quite frankly, used it very judiciously.
Yeah.
Did I praise a Confederate president on the air?
Yeah, I guess you kind of did. But
historical.
You weren't talking about slavery. You were talking about how he did his job as the president of the Confederacy.
Yeah, I'll wait for my tweet. I'll wait for the tweet.
Well, I'm sure they're coming. I'm sure they're coming.
Jay, you do what you always do. Send us off here with your words of inspiration.
Are there any? No, in these dark days.
I think that every episode, but you still manage to do it.
Let me dig deep then. Let me dig real deep. All of you out there, within the sound of my voice, these are dark days. We live in fear sometimes. We see those around us getting sick or risking out there, in the community, possibly getting sick. We think about the bills that aren't getting paid. We think about being isolated from each other. We think about all of these things that are restricting us and keeping us down, and really how our way of life has completely changed in all of about 4 weeks. That's pretty crazy. We've gone from being free to social distancing to staying at home, and now we're being told we got to stay at home longer. At some point, things will change. At some point, they're going to have to open up the floodgates again, and business is going to have to begin to flow freely. And people are going to have to be allowed to travel freely. And people are going to have to be allowed to interact with other people and live their lives. But when that happens, we have two choices. One is to be so overjoyed that we just run and go and do everything and go everywhere and have all the fun we were missing when we were pent up and forget that this ever happened. That could be all right. But here's the second thing we can do. Remember. We remember this. We remember what it felt like to stay home. We remember what it felt like to be scared to not have money to pay the bills. We remember what it felt like to not have contact with other people. We remember what it felt like to be afraid that we could get sick or someone that we loved could get sick. And we remember the overreach that this government has done to gather power to itself. And we need to say, not on our watch. Not again. Next time there's an emergency, this is not going to happen. You're not going to break the rules. You're not going to write your own rules. You are not going to do it. But there's only one way to do that. That's by getting involved. So how do you do it? Well, first of all, if you're a praying man or woman, I say you take some time right now. You've got nothing but time. And if you're not, just really consider. Do you have something that you can give? Do you have a gift that you can give to our society? Are you someone that will uphold the law? That the new laws that you write will be just? And I don't mean social justice, where we're giving justice, quote unquote, to some and not to others. I mean that everybody gets treated equally and their freedoms are protected. That you don't want to overspend, but you want to make sure that people are taken care of. That you don't want to put in draconian laws that keep people down, but you do whatever is necessary, absolutely necessary, for the good of public safety. Then you know what? We're looking for you. We've been looking for you for quite a while. We want you to get a hold of us at commssolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commssolutionsmn@gmail.com. And if you see things, crazy things happening in your city, your township, you let us know. Your county, we'll talk about it. We'll get the word out so that other people know. But if you're the kind of person to stand up and say enough is enough, right now is the perfect time to begin. Because we're still going to have an election in November. So how that election happens with these people, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it will happen because it's mandated. So we need you now to begin to prepare and to get the training that you need and to be able to get the strategies that are going to propel you to the top of the heap. So come on. Come one and come all. Come talk to us. The time is now. Is that all right, Andrew?
Yeah. That was good.
All right. So, all y'all, we're gonna get this out there to you. We're gonna keep pressing forward. We're gonna keep finding those stories that are going to show you that what is happening now is a travesty, and it is really an abdication of true justice. So make sure you spread this far and wide. You share it with your friends, because I guarantee you they're looking for some light at the end of the tunnel. They're looking for a little hope, just like you are. We will see you again in 1 week, so don't you go anywhere. And hopefully when we talk again, you'll have given it some good thought, some good prayer, and you're ready to step up and join Team 20K, because we are going to win in the end. Thank you all very much. That's about all we got. We love you, Minnesota. Now it's your turn to get to work.
Take my life, caught a break between the lines. Don't let me be. If I get too caught up